I love that story. I could listen to those for the rest of the night. My name is Will, and my story didn't go quite as pleasantly as yours. But first of all, I want to say a couple of years ago, I guess maybe last year, Jeremy and I got together for lunch, and he told me about this project that he was developing, Fashioned of God, stories of Christian gay people telling their stories. And I had no idea that this is really going to be a big thing, I think. As far as developing dialogue, community, people getting to understand each other, I'm so pleased to be a part of it. So, when I was a little kid, probably about the same age as you, 6 or 7 years old, you know, I grew up in this little town of like Mayberry, you know, one of those little towns, but it was up in Oregon. But it was just this wonderful little town, and innocence and just typical little kid stuff. Now, back in those days, we played cowboys and Indians. I don't know if they do that anymore, but we did. And all the little boys, every little boy wanted to be Roy Rogers, except for one little boy. And he was Dale Evans. And, you know, it was never questioned. I always knew, as a little child, I just knew that my attraction was for other guys. It didn't seem like it was any big deal whatsoever. And I grew up. I was very popular in school. I was very active in all kinds of different things in school, music and all the things. And I was a good student. Everything was wonderful. And so I just didn't question it. Because, you know, you're not thinking those things. As a child growing up, you're not thinking about your sexuality or any of that sort of thing. But when I was 18, I was from a family that was evangelical fundamentalist. If any of you are familiar with that background, where when you come to Jesus, you accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior. And I did. I accepted the Lord as my Savior, as a Christian. And I never in my life ever considered that there was anything wrong between God and me about my sexuality. It just didn't even, but I kept hearing it, you know, in the churches, the sermons. And so I remember over and over again, I would be alone and I'd be praying and saying, God, please help me. This is the prayer I really remember. Please help me to see this the way you see it. I kept praying that, you know. And there's 3 different places in my life that I can only say it was like a still small voice or an impression or something inside me. I kept praying this prayer, please help me to see this the way you see it. And that little impression that came in my heart and mind said, I already have, you know. And I never, even when the ex-gay movement came along, I was going to a church in San Francisco, large charismatic church, and the ex-gay movement was introduced, and I just couldn't believe any of it, and I never did. And even when that came along, I never could quite grasp that whole concept, except for the church grasped the concept that I was gay, and I was no longer welcome. So, okay, it was a very, very painful time, but I left. And I can't remember as far as years ago, but I heard about this church down in Phoenix where gay people were welcome. This has been a very important, and I totally understand that it's not an important part of everybody's life, but my faith walk has been very, very important to me, and it continues to be. So I went down to Phoenix, I went to this church, and wow, it was a Christian church where gay people were welcome. How awesome was that for someone like me? So I came back and I talked to my friends in San Francisco, and we ended up starting a little evangelical church in the gay community. I was part of that church for 10 years. I'm a musician. I played the piano and organ, and I preached, taught, you know, all the whole thing. And so, in 2001, you know, we had 9/11. That was a big shaker. But on October 14th of that year, I was off that day. It was Thursday, and the mail came. And I went to get my mail. And there was a letter from my mom. Yay, a letter from Mom. And the letter, basically, I had to burn the letter finally to help release. But the letter said that, I know you usually come to visit us at this time of year. They lived in Oregon. And you usually come to visit us at this time of year. But because of your unacceptable lifestyle, mind you, nobody had been to see me, nobody knew anything about my lifestyle. You know, we can assume whatever we want to assume. But because of your unacceptable lifestyle, we would prefer that you not come back to see us again. I have to tell you that that was one of those defining moments in my life. It really destroyed me. It really killed my heart. And I truly don't know that I will ever really get over it. I still am in a place, I've come a long ways, but I'm still in a place that it totally destroyed my self-confidence and, you know, all that. But whatever. And so I do have to tell you that after that, my cousin wrote me a letter. And she said, oh, you must come and see us. I said, do you know about the letter my mother wrote? And she said, well, no. And I told her, she said, oh, just come and see us. So I did. I drove up to Oregon, 10-hour drive. And all the way I'm thinking, how do I confront this? How do I, you know, I don't want to get into a fight with them, but how do I respond to this? And it kept coming to me. And lavish them with love. Lavish them with love. That's kept coming to me. It was like a mantra all the way to Oregon. So I got there. My mother was elderly. She was living with my cousin. I walked in the house. And my mother had a room. She was elderly and she was infirm and unable to get around. And on the wall were all the pictures of the family. Except for guess what? Mine were all gone. And it was like a knife in my heart. But I said, just hang in there. And remember, lavish them with love. It kept coming to me. So I walked over to my mom and I took her hand. And I just smiled at her. I couldn't say anything because I would have started crying. And I just thought, lavish her with love, lavish her with love. And she just started crying. And she says, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Because, you know, I will tell you this, in so many situations, you're dealing with mother love, father love, but you're also dealing with faith convictions. And in that situation, that was totally two different things. And I looked up absent-mindedly at the pictures on the wall, and she said, they're all gone, they're all destroyed. You're still in my heart, and you always will be. But, you know, once something like that has happened, you're just pretty well, you know, shocked. So for a very long time, and I'll tell you for like 10 years, I grieved very deeply. I couldn't get past it. I tried everything I possibly could, you know. I looked into all kinds of different faith things, into all kinds of, I learned how to do self-hypnosis. I did everything because I really thought I was going crazy. I was never suicidal, but I didn't want to live. Just didn't want to live. And so for 10 years I grieved, and I grieved. And I had friends tell me, get over it, time to move on. But you know, you can't. When you're grieving, there's a time to finish the grieving. And so I had a friend who was an Episcopalian. Mind you, all my life I've been in this fundamentalist world. But my friend was Episcopalian, and she had a son who had died of AIDS. And because of that, she had become a strong advocate for gay and lesbian people. A lovely lady from Connecticut. She said, well, why don't you go visit the Episcopal Church? Why don't you go check that out? Well, you know, I've heard enough about churches, you know, but I'll do it. And it was really amazing to me. Because I live in a parish in San Francisco, St. Gregory of Nyssa parish, which is probably, I would say about maybe 50 straight gay. But the thing is there's one straight lady said, she said, we're not a gay church, we're not a straight church, we're a queer church. Meaning this, we have everything, it's super nuts, without exclusion, without exception, everybody. And so that was a really wonderful part to, you know, to come to that. And as I have been part of St. Gregory's, I also learned about meditation, and I'm just sharing with you part of my healing process with learning meditation, which has really been so wonderfully healing for me, just in the depths of my being, going back for years of all this stuff that, you know, that happened as a result of my fundamentalist background. And so it's really been a very healing thing. And then I was introduced to the Benedictine, if anybody's familiar with the Benedictines and the Benedictine order, and I'm right now in the process of becoming a Benedictine brother, and it's part of a new monastic movement that, is anybody familiar with Shane Claiborne?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those guys are all Protestants. Well, they're not, but they do follow the Benedictine way. But I'm not obviously in the Protestant world, but it's the same type of thing. We are monastics. living in the world and just being the presence of love. And the wonderful thing about it is it's a welcome situation. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is affirmed and everybody is welcome. And I love that because I believe that as gay people, I've been to the place where we were begging everybody to accept us. I've been to the place where we were not welcome. But I'm also seeing something really awesome in this time. Adele's going to be going this year to the Wild Goose Festival. Anybody familiar? And there's the Wild Goose Festival. There's what Jeremy's doing. There's this wonderful dialogue happening that I believe it's our lives and these things that are going on that are putting us not in the dark shadows and these love the sinner, hate the sin kind of junk, but it's putting us out there where we are taking our place as members of society. And I believe that is what's going to, it's dialogues like this, it's situations like the Wild Goose Festival that is going to make the big difference for us. I absolutely love this new generation that's coming along. I'm a lot older than this new generation, but it's just wonderful to see younger people that are growing up in a world that they can come and tell mom or somebody can come and tell mom that and have it say, great, fine, you know. It doesn't have to be a thing of worrying about losing our families or that sort of thing. Boy, that went faster than I thought it would. I just want to say that I'm really glad to be here tonight, and I'm really grateful that through all that stuff that happened that kind of just left me in a place of really grieving, that's all behind me. Wonderful things are going on. I will tell you one more thing, I'm a part of a community that we meet once a month. It's a part of the Celtic Catholic community. And the fellow that leads it is he's a priest and a head of theology at University of San Francisco. And he's a gay man. And he's one of the most dynamic. He's in such great demand all over the Bay Area as a teacher and as a wonderful. And I just see that we have opportunity in this day and time of violence and all the things that's going on around us to be a positive force in this world. And I am just delighted to be a part of that. That's my story.